Well, hello there and welcome back to my farm, Whistle Watchers. Now then, a very busy summer of rugby ahead, some great matchups to preview and some new laws to look at as well. So, I'm not going to keep you waiting, let's get straight into it. Prior to each international window, referees will get together to discuss areas of the game where they feel that they need to improve certain areas or aspects of the game. So, let's have a look at the ones that you need to look out for. And let's start with the crocodile roll. Now, player safety obviously is paramount in the game. Although that the crocodile roll is low in numbers or actions during the game, it can cause long-term injury to players. So, the shape of the game meeting showed there was clear support for this specific action, the crocodile roll, to be outlawed. And this is what it is: a prohibited action where a player laterally rolls or twists a player off his feet onto the ground. This happens around the contact area. The action can cause an injury to the player's lower limbs. Now let's have a look at the next one. Offside in front of a kicker. Now this is a slight change in the law, and the wording makes it clear that a player who is offside, so in front of a teammate who plays the ball and you're offside, in the past, as long as the ball did not land within 10 metres, you could stay there stationary and you could be put onside by actions of your opposition. And that was passing the ball or running 5 metres with the ball. That now will be changed. So if you're in an offside position, you can just not wait to be put onside by those actions of your opponents. You must retreat and get out there to be put onside by your own teammate, which means when they pass you, which means you won't be put onside by the opposition's actions of passing or running 5 metres. This then hopefully will create a bit more space and we'll see a bit more of the counter-attacking, and which then may result in a less of a ping pong of kicking back and forth. So a very good and important change there. And one of the other ones, which has certainly got a lot of you talking out there, myself included, is players can no longer call for a scrum from a free kick. You'll be only allowed to call for a scrum from a penalty. So if it's a free kick, a technical offence, what they want to do is speed up the restart of the game, because a lot of time is spent on free kicks and restarts of scrum and setup of scrum. So get rid of that dead time. The free kick option for a scrum is now gone, which means you'll either have to tap and go or kicking up and under, but you won't be able to ask for a scrum. But it's important to remember that you will be able to opt for a scrum from a penalty. It'll be interesting to see how this one plays out. So, some interesting law changes there. Let's hope that they will enhance the game as a spectacle for all of us to enjoy. Now, let's move on to the next segment, which is your Emirates Fans Questions. First up is at J Davis 87. As we come into the summer series, do you miss all the travelling you got to do as a referee? To be honest, I don't. I love being home here on the farm. Now, don't get me wrong, when I did it for the best part of over 25 years with all the travelling, I enjoyed every minute of it. But there comes a time in your life where being home is a little bit more special. At Matthew Clems asks, other than New Zealand vs Australia Rugby World Cup final, what is your favourite rugby moment, Nigel? Oh no, that's a good question, because it'll be very different reasons for why certain moments in games or games themselves were my favourite moment. Like my first cap, your 100th cap, refereeing some of the greatest players that the rugby world has ever seen. But I think one of them certainly would be South Africa against New Zealand in that epic game in Ellis Park in 2013. Which many people say is the greatest game of rugby they've ever seen, and it certainly was a great game of rugby to be involved in. At Ed UK in Chile. Oh, that's a good one. If the referee and TMO are checking a possible try, the referee may overturn the TMO decision if they have a different opinion. So, can the referee overturn the decision of a yellow card that changes to a red in a TMO bunker situation? Now, very good question, and I believe that the answer to that is no, he can't, because what he has done, he has decided that it reaches the yellow card threshold, but obviously needs to check now that if it's going to be a red card or just a yellow card. So then he passes it on to the bunker to make that decision. Once that is passed on to the bunker, the referee plays no further part in that decision-making process then. Now, You could give a red card before you even send it to the bunker, but obviously then you wouldn't send it to the bunker, but I don't think you're going to see that happening. So once it goes to the bunker and comes back to the referee, that will be then the final decision. At Callum Gower asks, Nigel, is it legal for the defending team to intentionally pull an attacking player over the try line knowing they have the coverage to hold it up? Now, you can't pull a player over the try line if he's on the ground. So if he's on the ground outside the goal line, you have to release him. You cannot pull him. And obviously as well, if he is tackled, he must release the ball. So what you'll be doing then, you'll be pulling a player who hasn't got the ball. So that's not doable. What you can do is if a player's on his feet and then you pull him down over the goal line to hold it up, then obviously, of course, you can do that. But if he's already on the ground, you're not able to pull him over then, no. And that's it for Emirates Fans Questions. Some very interesting questions there, but I'm sure the next time when we answer questions, you'll have some from the rugby matches that you will have been watching. But till then, thanks for your questions. Now then, given the standard of players on display this summer, and obviously the games involved as well, it's going to be quite tricky to narrow down which ones to watch. But here we go, here are some of them. Now let's start with Japan-England. First of all, obviously, you have Eddie Jones, ex-England coach, now back in Japan coaching Japan. So that's going to be intriguing in itself. And obviously as well, it's going to be a tough test for England in Japan, who have obviously improved a lot over recent years. So it'll be interesting to see how Japan react on home soil. And this game will be available on Rugby Pass TV in Ireland and the UK. So if that applies to you, you can watch it for free. South Africa, Ireland now then. Oh, this is going to be intriguing. You obviously have the World Cup winners and, in many people's eyes, the World Cup favourites as well, who would be hugely disappointed in losing in the World Cup in 2023. So this is going to be intriguing. Remember, Ireland beat South Africa in that pool game out in France. So the gigantic clash will take place in Pretoria between South Africa and Ireland. And obviously as well, remember the URC, we have the South African teams playing against the Irish teams, and in the recent game where the Bulls beat Leinster as well in Pretoria. So a lot to look out for in this game. Australia, Wales now then. Obviously Wales be disappointed with the wooden spoon in the Six Nations, but it's going to be interesting when Joe Schmidt now in charge of Australia as well. So Joe Schmidt and Warren Gatton locking horns as well for the first time in a while, with a young Welsh squad, and obviously I'm sure some new faces in the Australian team as well. So this is going to be very, very interesting, particularly as a Welshman, but I think for the Australians as well. South Africa, Portugal, who can forget how wonderful Portugal were in the World Cup? And what a way to start the summer series with playing the world champions. And of course, after Portugal's shock win by beating Fiji in the World Cup, will they be able to do it against South Africa? And what about Argentina, France now? Always a big battle between Argentina and France. And as a referee, there's always one of the big difficult games to referee. So flair on both sides at the moment. Argentina and France playing with a wonderful flair of rugby. So this could really be the treat of the summer, this game could be, particularly if they play their usual way that they've been doing over recent seasons. France, of course, will be without Dupont, and we've seen the difference that he makes for France and for Toulouse as well. So I wonder if Argentina can do a job here this year. Do you know what? I think they may, but we'll have to wait to see. Well, that's it for our summer preview. I'll be back with Whistle Watch next week because we have a lot of rugby to talk about, and obviously there'll be some talking points for sure and your Emirates fans questions, so get them ready and get them in as well. But till then, bye-bye.